one gamete with one less chromosome. Okay, non-disjunction disorders with an extra chromosomes. This is when you're going to have 47 instead of 46. Down syndrome is probably the most well-known. That's where you have the extra 21. The Edwards syndrome is an interesting one. That's where you're going to have an extra 18. And the Pateau syndrome is an extra 13. These are all three ones that people can survive with. So that's why we talk about them. You normally would do a lab where you're going to match the chromosomes up and the offspring might have one of these and you kind of have to be able to identify it. But we're not going to do that right now. But this just tells you some of the results that occur from these non-disjunctions. 21, everybody usually knows that. Now, there is a rare case of chromosome 21, or you could have a translocation occurring that can cause Down syndrome, okay? So that's where you would have part of one chromosome attaching to another part. They swap parts of their chromosomes with each other. Trisomy chromosome 8, this will cause mental retardation, skeletal deformities, internal organs are malformed. This child it isn't like Down syndrome where they get to live within a normal lifespan. They do die early. And then trisomy 13, we have malformations of the major organs. And these poor little guys, they usually die within a year. And this is 1 in 7,500 to 10,000 births. The Edwards syndrome is a trisomy 18, so that's an extra chromosome 18. You guys always seem to ask these questions, so I want to provide this information. This is where, what does it mean? We all know what happens with Down syndrome, but these are some other ones. Again, this one will live, these guys, but 90% will die by the age of 1. 20 to 30% die in the first month. So not a normal lifespan for these poor folks. They're thin, frail, short eyelids, low set ears, webbed fingers, toes, and skin. Usually what's kind of nice now is with all the DNA testing they do, they can tell if the baby has this before they come out. If it just depends on if you get that DNA testing done. So here's some more. These are dealing with sex chromosome abnormalities that can be caused by non-disjunction. Klinefelter's, that's one we went over. That's an XXY. So that's where you'd have the extra X. This is the one that I said that if you have a calico that's a male, guess what? You've got a Klinefelter calico. I don't know if that's really true on cats, but you would definitely have an XXY cat. Turner syndrome is they're missing one X. Okay, the super males are XYY. They got an extra Y. So just so you know, because people are like, well, is the super male or is the Klinefelter's a boy or a girl? Well, as long as you have the Y, you are a male. Okay, it's the Y that produces the maleness. Males with more than one X, like the XXY, are usually underdeveloped and sterile. Women, you could be XXX or XO. They're also usually sterile. But what we have found is that sex chromosomes, basically where you have extra chromosomes or one less chromosome, have a less severe impact than normal autosome or aneuploidies. And this means just an abnormal number. Okay. Now there's a lot of bold here. You need to understand this right here too. This is the real meat and potatoes, that, having extra sex chromosomes or one less sex chromosome isn't as detrimental, we have seen, to humans as having an extra chromosome 13 or an extra, having an extra autosomal chromosome seems to be much more detrimental to our species, and they don't usually live long, normal lives. Okay, this just shows you the Klinefelters. I'm going to flip through this, but you guys always want to know what they look like. So, human disorder due to chromosomal alterations. This is showing you an XXX, okay? And again, this is usually 1 in 1,000 births, and it's usually a healthy female, even though they have the XXX. Crudy chat. This is a deletion of the short arm of chromosome 5. These children have a distinctive high-pitched cry. They can usually tell they have mental retardation. Most die in infancy. They will have, those that do make it will have a severely delayed development. And this is showing you, this is the region on chromosome 5 that's deleted. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pause and come back and go over what we would call point mutations or gene mutations. This is where we're actually dealing with the coding, the sequencing, the bases changing.